You are children.
Yes. I'm a
Yeah,
child.
keep out of the hands of small children, is
Yeah,
what
but
that says.
yeah, but I'm not small. I'm tall.
Yeah, you're a tall child. Well, there you go. You got him on a technicality. So, hey, folks, just getting set up for the show, getting everything going. There's the recording, and I'm going to drop the internal speakers down. How you doing, Leslie? And Barbie D, good to see you. And I think it's about time we can connect that right now. Oh, I've got it set to internal mic, so let's change that. That's got to be on the USB audio codec. There we go. All right, folks. Back home at the studio and with the family. There's Ellery. Leslie says, good evening, Ellery. So does Barbie D.
Hoy.
Hoy, she says. So you got about a minute, and then we're going to go. Well, we got about 3 minutes before we go live, but. Okay. Yeah, it's getting long.
It's been this long for a long time.
Talking about your hair, long hair. You look at how thick that is too. She's got this thick, wild hair. Look at that.
Hey, you're making it more messy.
Well, you got to go to bed. Okay, Mom's waiting for you over there. She's gonna read your story or something. Good night. I love you. Bye. Take these with you. I didn't push you. Drama queen. All right. All right, guys. We're getting close. We got about a minute and a half, and we're going to get rolling here. And we may have a little surprise visit from Ruben Fasthorse tonight if he makes it in. There, he got the link. He wanted to add to the topic we're going to be talking about. And so we'll see how that goes. What do we got? We got 9:03:29. So we got a little less than a minute, and we go live. Let's see here. Holy. Yikes. Good thing we're in the pre-show. Let's see. Windows. All right. All right. What do we got? We're getting there. All right, folks. I'm going to abandon you all for a few minutes while we get this show started, or for a few seconds. So sit tight as we go dark and listen for the beginning.
Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company, or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff, and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAllenRoberts.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, ALANROBERTS.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work, or call 651-468 8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hi, my dad. So he can take me to Disneyland.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Hey, good morning, folks. Good morning. That shows you how long my day has been. Hey, good evening, folks. This is Scotty Roberts. I'm your host here on this, my show, the Intrepid radio program, right here on Odyssey Radio. You can go over to Odyssey Radio, ODYSY radio.com. Check out all the goodness that's Odyssey Radio. You can see the archives of this show and links to all of that stuff. And you can see all the other shows that are over there. And by the way, we're recording this show tonight for the archives so it can replay tomorrow morning on Odyssey Radio. So if you missed the show tonight and you're listening to this right now could be tomorrow morning for you if you missed us last night and you're hearing the archive. So that's what we do. That's how we roll. And you can also be watching the simulcast in video over on Facebook, and that's facebook.com/Odyssey Radio. And you can also come over to my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. And while you're there, like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed to my channel. And also, you can hit the little join button. You can find out 3 different ways you can join this channel and help keep it on the air, so to speak. Although I don't want to sound like one of those televangelists. Help keep us on the air. God will bless you richly if you will donate. So don't hate, donate. No, that's just a farce. I'm just making fun. So you'll see the join button. If you want to join the channel, you can do that. And of course, my book, The Sword in the Clay, you can go over and pick that up over at theswordintheclay.com. Just the same as the title. And hope you do. Hope you'll enjoy it. I know many in the chat room tonight have picked that up. And you can too. All right. Now, I've been away from the home studio for a few days up in the north woods of Minnesota over at Andy Dabb's place. And as most of you who are regulars here will know that already. And we are working on that book, and we're almost got it wrapped, which is nice. And so I'm home now, and that's a 3.5-hour trip each way to get up there. So it was nice to come home today and be met by the kids and my loving wife. And so we had a very good time this week up there. But it's good to be back. It's always good to be back. Now, if you're hearing lots of yelling over there, that's Rainey putting the kids to bed. I don't know if it carries over here or not. We are not in a soundproofed studio, so you might have to put up with a little bit of that. And tonight's topic is kind of we're just following through with some of the things that we've been talking about for the last few days. And, you know, I treat this stuff with great respect, but at the same time, I try to give it a bit of levity because, you know, life is pretty heavy as it is already, and there's all kinds of stuff always going on around us. And so what do we do when we want to find out a little bit more about our relationships and how we can act toward the opposite sex? We've talked about body language and how we all relate to each other with body language in ways that we don't even know we're doing sometimes. How y'all doing with that body language stuff, by the way? How's it all working out for you? I hope that you are taking note of what you do and also at the same time taking note of what the other person does. Become a study of your partner. Study, you know, I heard that said to me many years ago when I was in ministry. And we were doing, when I got out of doing youth ministry, I started doing men's ministries. And that was working with guys who were in a small group who were in basically rocky relationships. And I asked all these guys, I said, have you become a study of your wife? Meaning, do you study how she, I'm going to watch what she does, how she acts. Women, are you studies of your husband? Now, you have to, you got to kind of cajole women less to do the things that women do. Guys, sometimes you got to snap, hey, dude, wake up. You're in a relationship. You're doing your thing. Get your act together. And so that's what I think all of this kind of is. It's for all of us to take a little closer look at what we do. And tonight I have chosen the topic to kind of segue off of all the stuff we've been talking about all week. And before, by the way, I get that, I got a flash just hit my brain. I think I hope that you're not expecting that. And that's not, no. Back that up. That's a really bad way to put that. I do a lot of this kind of talk, relational psychology, all of that stuff, because it's very interesting to me. Maybe it's become more interesting to me the older I get and the more stuff I glean. But I have mentioned before, we've got a ton of kinds of topics that we like to do here. If you look at that scroll bar down below my window, if you're watching the video, UFO phenomenon, spirituality, science, archaeology, ancient history, world mysteries, psychology, relationship stuff. All of these are things that I like to do, and they're things that this show will incorporate. And if you haven't heard a lot of that this week, it's because we haven't hit on any of that this week. The unexplained, etc. But we'll get back there. We'll do that again. I think that this is good stuff, and I hope you enjoy what we're doing and you're getting something out of it. And tonight, segueing off the last few nights, we're going to be talking about language. Now, people might go, oh, is it the language of love? No, it's not the language of love. It's the fact that while you are loving someone else and living with them and growing with them, you will notice sometimes husbands, wives, men, women, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever you got, significant other, that men and women, as we've mentioned many times this week, we're wired differently. We are physiologically different. And that physiology, that physiological, biological wiring makes us different kinds of people for different reasons. There are different roles we fulfill. And I don't think there's, 27 different things. I think there's 2, basically. The rest is all what you want to do, what you want to identify, gender identification, all that. That's not what we're talking about. That's another thing. I'm talking about the basic wirings, man and woman, male and female. Now, do you have your crossovers in there? Yeah, you do. Do you have your things that fall out of what is not tradition, not normal, but what is biological? Yeah, you have things that are a little different sometimes. So these are glaring generalities, but these are generalities, these things I'm talking about, that are based on the fact that human beings are biological creatures, and we are physiologically wired to be a certain way, male and female. That doesn't mean there aren't stray wires in the wiring every now and then. So this is the basics of what I'm going to be talking about. What I've been talking about, what we're going to talk about tonight. We're talking about the language, and that's male and female language. I was going to say English, but I think everybody here speaks English, other than Ruben, who's waiting in the wings, who also speaks Lakota. And we'll bring him in a minute here. But he wanted to talk with us a little bit about language and the way the male and female language worked in traditional tribal culture. But we'll get to that in a second. And so who I'm talking to are men and women here that are in relationships with men and women. And you're going to see that the language that we use is sometimes very different. You might say, I'll do one illustration before I bring Ruben in. We used to talk about this with the guys groups, the men's groups in the church work I was doing. And we used to mention, now this is not a derogatory in either direction, but we used to say men and women are like airplanes. A man will circle the airport and he'll land the plane. A woman will continue to circle the airport over and over and over again. Now, it's meant to be funny. It's a glaring generality, but this is the way it is. Men land the plane. Women like to talk about landing and circle the airport. And it's like shopping, you know. You ever take women, you take your men shopping with you? A woman will be like, I'm shopping. Oh, look at the shoes. I came for shoes, but and the man's like, there's the shoes. You came for the shoes, right? Can we get those and go now? Oh, but wait, there's great purses over here, or there's great jeans, or oh, look at the shirts over there. I want to try some shirts on. Well, didn't we just come, honey, for shoes? No, we came to go shopping. And the guys are like, guys, we're goal oriented. We want to go. I'm going to the store and I'm on a seek and destroy mission for shoes. And I'm going to go find those shoes and I'm going to grab those shoes. I'm going to put them in my cart. I'm going to roll them up to the front, buy them, and I'm going to go out and have a beer. And women are like, how can I walk by all these other stores? And now, glaring generality, yes. True? Yes. Because these are the ways we're wired. We're wired to do things and act in different ways. Now, I want to bring Ruben Fasthorse in. He's sitting out there in the wings waiting, and he saw the topic for tonight, and he said, I think I can contribute something on Native American culture and Native American language. And I'm sad to say, hey, Ruben, give me a test. Give me a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
Okay, we're picking you up.
Okay.
And I got to turn this down a little bit here. And because I get a little feedback, I just want to make sure it's picking you up over on the other side.
Okay.
All right. How you doing tonight?
I'm excited about what you're talking about in the male and female languages because in Lakota, there are 2 languages. And it's not just as a Native American professor at NYU and speaking at the UN, United Nations, 4 times. It's great to hear what you're saying and what you do, Chia, older brother. I call him Chia, older brother, is that he expands consciousness. And when you expand consciousness, you cannot unexpand it. It's that little pebble that's thrown into the pond, still pond that echoes, ripples. And that's exactly what you do. So I'm a part of being that echo in many ways. And so what you're talking about with the languages, male and female, it's not uncommon for many tribes because you and I live in ancient America, and I call it ancient America because we were here before anybody else, but people were here before even us. So it makes sense in the sense of that there's a male language in my language, Lakota, and I'm Sioux Indian, And so we have a males speak a certain way, and females speak a certain way, but the first teachers are the females. The first teachers are the unchis, the grandmothers, the tuis, the aunties, the ina, the mother, tankshi, tanke, the sisters. They teach us. So when I learned my language, I learned it from women.
Yes.
And people don't know that America is based on women strength. If I can say that, it's women
Oh, absolutely.
were
All right,
dominant.
so now are you relating that in the sense that women are obviously the first thing that babies see? They see their mothers. Mothers are always work their sisters and their moms and things like that to raise kids. So kids being raised, it's really like my kids. My kids saw me, but I was working to provide as best I could. My wife was the stay-at-home mom, and she's the one that they always went to. She's the one, even now, the 7-year-old, the 10-year-old, less from the 12-year-old boy these days as he's getting older. But the two girls, especially, it's mom. It's the first thing out of their mouths because that's the go-to person.
It is true because Native America, and people don't know that Americans speak like Native Americans simply because they try to make a New England, they try to make a new France, a new Spain, a new Dutch. They ran out of words and started taking on words like Fort Ticonderoga or Minnesota,
Right.
Wisconsin, and all these words. And English is such a bully language. As a language teacher, I spoke 4 times at the UN, United Nations, 2019, and then I taught at NYU, and I'm from North Dakota. But you know me, and I've known you for 25 years in many ways. And so the mother is the first language. She is the first teacher. So I would say with all Native American men, we speak like women. We speak like our grandmothers and aunties and unchi and antui and ina, our mothers. And then it's at age 11, we start to be pubescent. And then we start to change. We can go the mother's way or the father's and uncle's way. And so in saying that, to say this, that we have five sexes in Native American culture. You got the straight male, you got the straight, trying to do this online, straight male, straight female, gay female, lesbian, and then transgender. And so we are redefining that in many ways, and just people don't know Native Americans. They know Black, they know Latino, Black Lives Matter, Latino Lives, we talked about this, Asian Lives Matter, yeah, but nobody ever hears about Native Americans. And we are the foundation of this country, the root of this country. And we need to be recognized. And so I love the fact, Chia, older brother, that you acknowledge me, and I've known you, and you approached me 25 years ago to become a Mohawk Scout. And now I'm in the country of Last of the Mohicans. I've been to Cooperstown and all that, and we're going to be together in Fort Ticonderoga. So it's really great to stir the pot, as I like to say, stir the pot and make the consciousness awaken. And your program to me says you do that. What you say and what you bring to the forefront is when you expand consciousness, you cannot unexpand it. You cannot bring it back down. People are awakened by it, and that's the great thing. But I want to say to every woman out there that women are the first teachers. They're the first teacher.
Yes, they are.
And Rainey is the first teacher, and then us men, as little as we are, we try to teach what it's like to be a man, or uncle, or a father, or a brother, or whatever, and that's great. So,
and all I can say is I'm glad I'm a man because I like women. So there you go.
You and
How's
me
that
both.
for a qualifier? And Misu, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you sharing your insights and your wisdom. Love you, my brother. And we'll talk again soon. All right. You have a good night. Thank you again. I appreciate everything you brought to the table. Wonderful. All right. See you later. Okay, folks, that was our good friend of the show, Ruben Fasthorse, and with some good words that he had to put in about Native culture. And of course, like he said, moms, women are the first teachers. And hang on, I'm going to see if he's still in the wings. I just want to get Ruben. I want to bring you back in for a second. Hold on. All right, give us just a little language lesson, because I'm just curious. What would you call? What's the words for mother, for grandmother? Do you have a specific word for woman as being the first teacher of children? Things like that. Throw some language on us.
Okay, if you are, to the ladies out there, if you're a mother, they would call you, your children would call you Ina. Ina is mother.
Okay.
And then when you say grandmother is Unchi. Unchi is grandmother. Ina is mother. Auntie, your auntie is Tui. It's like Tui. So every morning when I wake up, I stand outside and I undress and I look to the west, the north, the east, and the south and address the deities. In the west is the Wakia Oyate, the thunder beings. And then I look to the north, Wakiato Itokagatakihe, the Buffalo Nation. And then I look to the east. In the east is Hechaka Oyate, the Elk Nation in the east. And then in the south, I say Wamakashka Oyate, which is all the nations, the crawling, the swimming people, the planted nation. All that is alive is recognized. And then I look up to Tunkashila Wakantanka, our grandfather in the sky, color blue. So in the west it's black, in the north it's white, in the east it's red, in the south it's yellow. Above us is blue, and then our grandmother is last. Makata kekehe. Uchima Koche, Grandmother Earth. It's not Mother Earth, it's Grandmother Earth. Grandmother Earth. And she holds the color of green. And so I'm sorry, but I always stand undressed and I pray every direction to every morning, totally nude, naked, and make sure my feet touch the earth, the grass, or the dirt, or whatever it is. And it's out of respect.
Yes.
When I die, I'm going to go back to the earth nude anyway. So
Mhm.
it makes sense. It makes sense. So thank you, Scotty, for letting me share that in the
Me
sense
too.
of
Thank you for being here again.
it's,
Thanks for
it's,
letting me grab you before you took off for good for the evening. So,
well, I really wanted to talk about the male and female aspects of language.
yes.
And if I can say something more,
Sure.
is that okay? The reason why we have male and female, it's not just Lakota or Scandinavian, or some tribes don't do it. Blackfeet are total universal. Male and female speak, and that works, and that's okay. But
Okay.
at some point, languages diverse. And as a linguist myself, I realized in understanding that with Lakota language, it becomes a spiritual construct
Okay.
in the sense of men speak a certain way and women speak a certain way. And so I would say to you, as a brother, Chia, older brother, and I'm Misu, little brother, I'd say, ho, ho. It's not like the movies where I say, how. But that's what, English is such a bully language. It bastardizes the whole Native American language and other languages. Oh, you're in Ellis Island, and I'm in New York. When they came
Right.
to Ellis
Right.
Island, they said, "Oh, your name is Johnson. Well, now it's your name is Johansson. Well, now it's Johnson."
Yes.
So
Yes.
they just kind of did that thing, and with Native Americans, white men married Native women, and the first teacher, of course, is Native women, and taught the children to speak Lakota, but the male who's non-native, non-Lakota, would teach them how to speak English, and they started to say, well, your name is Trashunke Luzaha. His horse is fast, and that's my name.
Mm-hmm.
His horse is fast. But they translate to fast horse.
Right.
Okay, now you're going to be fast horse. So it's a bastardization.
Yes.
English does that. I'm not
Well,
being
even
evil or mad, but
even my own Welsh ancestors came over in 1710, and they were the Robards. And somewhere along the way, some clerk in a court changed Robards to Roberts. But then again, it was also Roberts way back in the 1400s in Wales. So it's very interesting. So,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say it reminded me of a joke that was told to me probably by my grandfather when I was a very young boy. And it just popped up into my head. So I figure I got to tell it. There was a Chinese man in America, and he was introduced to somebody, and his name was Ole Olafson. And the man said, I can see you're Chinese. He says, however on earth did you get a name like Ole Olafson? And the Chinaman says, well, he says, back when I come over on the boat, he says, we were in line at the Statue of Liberty. And he says, there was a man in front of me, and they took his name. And his name was Ole Olafson. And I got next in line, and he says, what's your name? And I said, Sam Ting. Says, all right, Ole Olafson, move on, next. So there you go. I know it's it's a grandpa joke.
What's crazy is that's very true. That is very
Yeah.
true. I don't doubt it. Um, and people don't know that. I spoke at Queens College in Queensboro, New York,
Mm-hmm.
in regards to the code talkers, the Navajo code talkers, whatnot.
Yes.
The enemy broke Lakota. They knew how to break it, and other tribes, but they couldn't. Of course, we know that they couldn't break the Navajo, which the Navajo people spoke, even in their own language, a code. So they said, let's
Mm-hmm.
move the turtle to the west. And the Japanese didn't know that turtle was a tank. But in World War One, in the Mediterranean theater of war, they used Welsh. They used Welsh language as a code talkers. People don't know that, and that's amazing. And that's why I exposed to them that the Welsh, some of the Scottish, the Lakota, all the tribes, Choctaw, they all came together. And people don't know that the Choctaw sent money, even though they were poor, sent money to Ireland.
Yeah.
In the potato plight, hardship. And to this very day in Dublin, you can go there and you'll see 13 feathers in a circle.
Yes.
Where it's highlighted to recognize the Choctaw Nation that gave money to them when they had a hard time. I think you know that. Right. Can you expand on that? I don't know.
Yeah, I just know you've talked about that before. I have not seen the memorial, but I do know that a memorial was put up, and it looks like large feathers, metallic feathers.
Tall as a man. Tall as a man.
Yes. And so
feathers.
Yeah, that's about all I know about it. I don't know much. So,
but that's what's great about this program that you share, is that there's this connection, and you and I have talked about the fair people. Native Americans have elementals. We call them elementals, spirits. And so in our country here in North America, Native America, North Dakota, South Dakota, New York, Texas, yada, 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 we have these, in June especially, we have these little, I would teach my children myself, they're half Australian, half Native American from Ash, Ash. We would talk about how there were lightning bugs that would fly around. And I would say they say, what is that, Father? What is that? And I would say, they're fairies. They're fairies.
Yeah.
And when they would see them, they say, no, they're bugs. I said, because they turn into bugs. So our minds can understand that. And the reason why I'm saying that is because Lakotas believe Ihane Ihankahan Wamakashka Hechinganaga, which means long ago, we as human beings, not just Lakota, but human beings used to speak to the animals, to the insects, and they would speak to us. But we don't have that capacity anymore. Why? Because we're so inundated with what's on our cell phone, or what's going on
Right.
in life, or we've lost that connection. It's not like this anymore with nature. It's like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not just the Indian world, but it's the white world or non-native world or whatever you want to call it. We're so disconnected. And that's why it's easy to cut down trees and make a highway. That's why it's easy to drain lakes and make a city, or whatever we want to do.
Yes.
And it's sad. It's really sad. And that's all I got to say about that. Is just that.
All right, and that's okay. Well, Ruben, now I'll let you go again for real this time. Thank you for coming in. Thanks for talking about these things. Misu, I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night. All right, guys, that was Ruben Fast Horse, and yes, Ron, we are doing a live radio show. You're absolutely right.
I was putting Mom's hair in like these little binders, and I had to cut them out of her hair. So I was cutting them out of her hair, and I cut off this chunk of her hair.
Was Mom happy about that?
She was laughing at first, and then she said, "I'm never doing your hair again."
Oh, there you go. Well, there. Well, thank you for coming to me and saying, "Hey, is it all right if I come on and talk about that, Dad?" During our live radio show. And so I appreciate that. So that was my 10-year-old daughter, Rowan. Thank you very much. All right, guys. Let's see if we can talk a little bit about what I was going to bring up, this whole thing about male and female English, because sometimes we speak a different language. Have you noticed that there are differences in communication between men and women? And generally speaking, men and women have this different communication style altogether. And that it's the behaviors that we have that cause, how do I want to say this? A man might display some of the behaviors that are thought of as typical of women, and vice versa. And of course, everyone is different. These are generalities I'm talking about. Women sometimes can come across and do things that are very, what we might consider to be stereotypically manly. So the things I'm going to talk about here are generalities about the way men and women talk to each other and talk in general. And I'm going to give you 5, this one's kind of applying to the workplace a little bit, but 5 common differences in the workplace. So in professional settings of any kind, men and women, they use different communication styles. And it's not like, Ruben was talking to us about how children hear their Inus speak, their mothers speak from the very beginning, and they teach them language, they teach them how to do things. But as we grow up, children, our biological wiring takes over, our physiological wiring takes over, and we split in these different directions that we go as men and women in the way we think, and the way we act, and the way we talk, the way we communicate. And we have different strategies, different strategies to achieve our goals. These are all things that will start to define some of those differences that exist between us as men and women. And there is a difference in the genders. Now, some of these, I got some examples here. One is, and this is kind of geared toward workplace, meaning out in the business world, the things that we do out in the business world. It could be your job, it could be shopping, it could be all the things that are outside the home, the things that engage us in different ways, and where we meet the opposite sex and are constantly interacting with them. I could say intercoursing with them, but of course that has taken on a whole different connotation as well. If you use that word, intercourse can mean much more than sexual. That's why the word sexual is put in front. Sexual intercourse. We intercourse all the time with people. So, have you intercoursed yet today with people? So there's playful antagonizing is the first one. Men often engage in what we call locker room talk or trash talk, such as teasing. And in moderation, this can be a real helpful bonding tool. However, for a woman, this behavior can appear hostile and overconfident. Guys like to trash talk. We saw a very famous case of that with President Donald Trump when they brought up stuff that had happened to him 15 years earlier. He had been caught on video doing locker room trash talk with a guy. And, for all the men out there that were politically motivated to dislike him, and they were so shocked that this man could be in a place of leadership and talk that way. I had some people I knew that did that, and I go, all right, I know you better than that. Guys sit around and locker room talk all the time. I said, you better just be lucky, feel yourself lucky, that some of your private conversations weren't captured on video or tape from 15 years ago. Same with some women. So anyway, guys do the trash talk. We do the locker room talk. We do all that kind of stuff. That kind of marks who we are. Women see us as a bit hostile and perhaps overconfident when we do this. The second one, and by the way, when you do that in the office, that's why you can't do that in the office anymore. There's certain things you can't do when you're in a setting where men and women have to work together nowadays. Just the norms have changed. A boss can't have a meeting with the guys in his office and have his secretary come in and slap her on the ass and ask for another round of coffee. Can't do that anymore. It doesn't work anymore. Sarah Yusuf said, I don't know if you're speaking of this, but that's toxic. Or if you were speaking of, men talking the way they do in the office. Yeah, that can be very toxic to people. It used to be normal. Why? Because offices used to be inhabited predominantly by men. That isn't so anymore. Number 2 is the know-it-all. Men, many times, they avoid asking questions. They fear that asking their questions are going to diminish their perceived power. And women often see this as childish, even arrogant sometimes, that men do this. It's different language. It's how guys communicate. Now, we might say that there are some things that are toxic or maybe even bad for men to say in the office. But at the same time, we also have to be very understanding that this is the way we're wired too. Sometimes guys and women say things to each other and it's perceived completely differently by men than it would be by women. We have to be aware of that as well. Women might think a guy's childish and arrogant when the other guys go, I didn't see that. We speak different languages sometimes. And Niall is saying here on this topic, he says, in general, men will offer a bunch of flowers in the hope of forgiveness. Women can respond to that in 5 million ways, from, oh, I love you, let's have sex, to, are you fucking insane? Yeah, that happens. That's male and female language. Should we condemn a woman because she speaks out of her own biological, predetermined physiological wiring? No. But men should be, we say. So we just have to be careful when we are all together, obviously. That's what we're doing. Now, then there's the number 3 is keeping it to yourself. Now, many men avoid giving or soliciting any kind of feedback. And women might view this as the sign of a man being uncaring, when again, it's only a biological thing that he's doing by afraid of giving up the fact that he would then look like he doesn't have the ability to lead or doesn't have the ability to accomplish or something like that. Now, we can be real smartasses about it and go, well, I'm smart. I don't do that. I recognize that right away, but I'll bet you there are times that you have, times that you haven't. This is the way men are wired. So they keep things in. The next one, the fourth one, is that we're all equals. Women typically place this really high value on equality. Now, this means that they try to make other people feel worthy for their contributions. Men might view this as a sign of weakness. It's different language. Number 5, everyone's on the same page. Women frequently try to make sure everyone has the same understanding of a situation before making a decision. They also take care not to appear pushy. But men may view these behaviors as indicators of indecisiveness. Men are pretty much, hey, I'll bulldoze you if I have to. There was an old illustration I had, and don't anybody be offended by the illustrious word picture nature of this. But an old pastor friend of mine said, in talking about men and women, he said, men are like buffaloes and women are like butterflies. He said, take a buffalo and pick up a little rock, toss it at a buffalo. It's going to bounce off that buffalo. Buffalo may not even know you did it. You could take that same rock and throw it at a butterfly and possibly crush its wings. Now, he said, this is an example of how men and women can be in physiological wiring. Now, again, that you always got to put in the disclaimers to say, it's not that way across the board, that there's somebody who's going to be a little different. Somebody's going to, there's always saying as a norm, as the biological norm, men tend to be ones that can plow through anything and not realize that they are beating the shit out of something, while women are like the butterfly that can be broken down very easily. And not that she doesn't have strength of character or strength of will or anything like that, but they're built to be the more tender of the two. And nowadays, we've been programmed and taught that doesn't exist anymore. Oh, that's not true. You can't say that. Well, it's only not true for a very small handful, a very small percentage. This is the way we're put together. This is the way we are wired biologically. So men tend to be buffaloes. Women tend to be the butterflies, right? Sure, says Rainey. So there you go. So I'll stick with that because she agreed with it. So is there a common solution for men and women? For a productive workplace, there's a couple of guys, Cohen and Usharoff, that recommended adopting a middle ground. For example, a workplace culture that promotes and constructive feedback and can be very helpful for making men feel more comfortable with it. Meanwhile, the ability of women to foster collaboration is worthy of praise. But women in leadership positions should also feel free to take decisive action. There's these middle grounds we have to take. And there was a Dr. Carol Kinsey Goman, and she offered additional advice over at Forbes magazine. And she had said, she suggests that for people to be the most effective communicators possible, they need to blend the strengths of feminine and masculine styles. Now, there's differences between boyfriends and girlfriends. In romantic relationships, boyfriends and girlfriends tend to communicate differently. And writer Lucy Weinstock highlighted some of these and said several communication differences between men and women. While Weinstock wasn't specifically writing about relationships, these behaviors can have a very big effect on how men treat women when they're courting, if you will, or relationships. Well, we're down to a minute left already. Can you believe that? There's 3 noticeable differences, and I'm going to hit these first. 1, women tend to apologize more often, which can signal weakness to men. Men tend to compliment others less often than women do. And men, the third thing, focus on fact-based conversations that can end abruptly, while women tend toward extended conversations about complex, often emotional issues. So if you're having difficulty communicating with a romantic partner, try keeping these general differences in mind. A man who ends conversations too abruptly might make his girlfriend feel unheard. And I hate to say it, folks, but we're at the end of the radio broadcast, so we're going to bug out of here for a few minutes. All of you over in Radio Land, live long and prosper. The rest of you stick around right here.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Hey, folks. Welcome back to the Captain's Cabin. It's going to be a short one tonight because my brain is pretty much exhausted after the week. And I'm kind of tired tonight. It's been a long day. You know, if the radio program was my full-time job, I'd sleep in till noon every day. So I was bright and fresh and chipper at 9 o'clock at night, and we could go till midnight every day. You know, maybe there'll be a day I'll do that. We'll see. So, but for tonight, we're going to make it kind of short. And I'm not going to get into too much more of this tonight because I don't want to. I don't want to drop it out anymore than I did. And I got mostly because I'm almost brain dead right now as it is. And so you're not going to hear much cogency coming out of me tonight. Oh, hey, hang on. I got to stop the stream. Boom, over there. I just for a brief second, I heard my echo, which meant I was still on the stream. It's the way it treats. I get a little feedback from that. I see I got Professor Bauer just popped in. Bauer, I'm going to bring you in for a couple of minutes, and that's it, because we're going to do a short one tonight. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Really
Right
enjoyed the conversation with Ruben, and
oh yes,
I wanted to talk to him maybe another time about Lakota sweat lodges. Back when I was producing the Sacred Ground album with Spirit Keepers for my label, we were doing lodges every other month, and they were Lakota style, and the incantations, the divination was always about the great ancestors and the great grandmother. So I was really intrigued by his definition of that.
Yes, and he's got a lot to talk about that. He's done plenty himself, and he wants me to. I think when he adopts me officially into his family and the tribe, that there's a sweat that goes along with that as well.
Oh, I can't recommend them enough. I spent a good 5 years in regular lodges, and after the first couple of them, there was this amazing physical experience as well as the whole mental. We'd hydrate the day before, and then we did tobacco ceremonies and so forth before we did the lodges, and then we'd have this massive feast, and it was just amazing. But one of the first things that I realized is after the first sweat, my skin all over my body was like a baby's butt for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
That's very good. That's what I have heard. I've not experienced one yet.
Oh, I highly recommend it to anybody that has the opportunity. And say, since you were, along the theme that, this is you made the mistake of saying, "Hey, come on the show," and I'm sitting here doing my tech stuff, and you show up on my feed, and I'm like, "Yeah, shit, I'll jump in."
Right on.
So along
I
the
want
line,
you here anytime you want to come in.
well, you never know. But along the
Yeah.
lines of 2 points: one, you're tired and you want to make it short,
Oh,
and
man.
two, the whole thing about language. I've got a
Mhm.
couple of clips here that so we don't have to talk. We'll let somebody else talk and
There you go.
and go over this because I think that we've seen a crackdown in some way, I guess, on
Mhm.
comedy, right? And what is comedy? It's telling the truth and making you laugh about it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play this one clip here, and along the lines of this whole topic. So let me see.
And while you do that,
Mhm.
I think I did want to share this with everybody that I was given a gift today over at Andy Dabbs before I left and came back home. And he got me a little jar of these.
Nice.
So remember my post from a few weeks ago when I said
Oh yeah.
I was stoned at 8:30 in the morning? It was these.
Oh
So there
man,
you go.
I got to tell you, I've been a connoisseur and consumer since 13.
Yeah.
So that's what 52 years, and this is the result of being a stoner for 52 years. So I hope that explains. I hope that explains a few
Here,
things.
I'm gonna because I'm gonna go to bed pretty soon after this. So here's what I'm gonna do right now before we finish. He gave me 3 of these.
Are they
I
10
didn't know what they
milligram?
were at first. So.
Are they
What's
10
that?
milligram? Yeah.
Yeah, they're the what do we got here? 25 milligram.
Per
It's 25 milligram CBD,
okay.
2.5 milligram THC.
THC. Okay.
There you go.
Oh yeah, you'll be good. That'll
So,
be a nice buzz.
so I'm just gonna take one of those for bedtime. See
I've
how
got
I sleep tonight.
there's a brand called Kana, Kana,
Mhm.
and they make 2 in particular that I really enjoy. One is called Bliss, which is a indica
Didn't taste
base,
like peach.
and
Go
these
ahead.
are blueberry, and they're great for sleeping. My daughters swear by them. And
Oh,
then they have the oh god, what's it called? It's a hot infused, which is sativa. Sativa is the head high.
okay.
And oh, I tell you what, they are. You just pop one in, and half hour later, you're going, "Oh, this is a pretty nice buzz. I like this."
Nice. Nice.
Let me
Well,
play
here.
this, and this will be. Go ahead.
All right. I got to bring it into the stream. So here, let me first. I got to drop. I'm going to drop the outer border. Let's bring this in. All right, here we go.
There we go. Now I'm hoping that whoever's left in the chat will appreciate and enjoy this as well. But I found it very amusing and on point.
Some of you know what I'm talking about. Can you turn a compliment into an argument? That's what I want to know.
That's very true.
There's some body language for you.
There it is.
All right, I want to start off with something I saw on Dr. Phil. Anybody watch Dr. Phil?
So, what did you think of that?
I thought that was extremely funny. I don't know if Michelle Cannon-Free was commenting on him, but she said stereotypes. And I maybe she meant that in a positive way. Yeah, stereotypes. Stereotypes usually exist because something set that pattern in concrete. Therefore, the stereotype comes out of that not because it doesn't normally happen, but because this is generally exactly what happens. So if that's what you meant, Michelle, stereotypes, yeah. Stereotypes exist because people set them into play.
Well,
by
what
their
is a
actions.
stereotype? It's a set of,
Yeah.
it's a pattern, right?
Yeah, the pattern.
So we are pattern recognition beings, whether we, in our
Mhm.
consciousness, whether we realize it or not. And that's how we learn. We
Yes.
learn by association and recognition of other things that we've learned or experienced, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I think that it's the stereotype. The thing about comedy is you can take
Yeah.
a stereotype, these patterns, which are true. I mean, there isn't anything that guy said that somebody hasn't experienced.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I've experienced most of it.
Yeah, and you think about it and you go, well, at the time it wasn't funny, but when you look back at it, it's like, now that's some funny shit.
Yes. Yes. You can think back on lots of things. You and I could probably take things that happen with our past spouses or significant others or girlfriends or whatever, and we could probably make some damn good comedy out of it. I know I could. Now, back then, no.
Mm-mm.
And so
There wasn't nothing funny about it at the time. Now,
No.
now what's interesting for me is that the older I've got, and those recurring kind of circumstances like this guy talked about and made great fun of, each time there was a different level of, I've seen this before, so I know it's going to be painful. But that doesn't last as long. And I'm finding myself more often than not, much sooner than later, going into now that's some funny shit right there.
Yep.
And the sooner I get to that point, the easier it is to deal with it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I'm looking at things that are being said over here in the June Shasta says, do these pants make me look fat? And what were some of the answers there? I don't need to ask that if you get my drift. It says, let's see. Just saw your comment now, Sean. Okay. I thought there was something going on there, that it was missing something in the thread. So, well, I hate to do this because, man, I'm glad you're here, and you're such a. I love having these conversations with you. But
Well, I do as well. And
I got to be done.
appreciate-
I'm baked for the day. Well, not literally yet, but
well,
you know, when he gave me the 3 of these a couple of weeks ago,
yeah.
it was about a half an hour, and I felt it, and I didn't realize what I had taken. So I was trying to take notes. I was listening to, I was interviewing somebody for his book, and I'm talking and I'm taking notes. And I'm on the speaker, and I'm like, fuck, I can't write. What's wrong with my hand? You know, I wasn't communicating. My brain didn't want to communicate what I was hearing and translate it to pen and paper. And I'm like, she's saying things. I'm talking to his grandma, and she's saying things like, oh yeah, well, Andy was such a sweet little boy. And I'm writing, Andy picked fish from the market. And I'm like, what that makes no sense. And because it was different streams of things were going through my head and coming out differently. Everything got a little disconnected and discombobulated.
And this was after your gummy?
I had 3 of them I was given. So
the thing about cannabis is that it has general effects because of the psychedelic properties of THC, but the different strains have different effects on people. Like sativa is the head high, and I just love it. I mean,
I couldn't tell you what this is.
It might say it's a hybrid, but which is a blend of the two. But those are the two main.
Reserve.
Well, there you go.
Whenever you see reserve on Scotch, it means it's high end.
And it's usually
full spectrum hemp extract. Full spectrum is in there. Reserve collection. Supposedly peach flavored. That didn't taste like peach when I took it. And the small print is so small I can't read it. So without my cheaters, which are upstairs.
Well, people need to realize that cannabis affects people just the same way alcohol does. Everybody drinks something different, right? I can't drink gin. Gin puts me horizontal flat. Tequila, I can do. I prefer single malts and Scotch. And I can't do it like a Lagavulin. A 16-year-old Lagavulin will just make me go into convulsions. But an 18-year-old Glenlivet, I can drink that all night long.
You know, I've got sitting right there. I should have just pulled them out as you were saying. I've got a 16-year-old Lagavulin right there. I've got an 18-year-old Glenlivet. And I've got, I think I've got some Balvenie Doublewood in there. And which is one of my favorites. Glenlivet, it's kind of, for me, Glenlivet's the high rung of the lower section of the ladder, the extension ladder. But I'm a big Glenmorangie is my thing.
Glenmorangie is excellent.
Oh, there it is. June Shasta said it. Glenmorangie.
Yep. But when I in the 90s, when I was spending time in Europe, I would always, on the way home, whether it was through Gatwick or Heathrow or wherever, I'd hit the duty free, and Glenlivet had a 25-year-old archive. And over here at that time, this is mid 90s, a bottle of that was $200, and I'd get it at duty free for like 50.
Nice.
And it was the smoothest. But so I'll give you this last whiskey story, and we'll let you go. So I was traveling all over the planet, as in Asia and South America, Europe, South Africa, even. And when I was over in Tokyo, I stayed at what they called a 4-star hotel, which this was like an 8-star hotel. They had little Japanese people, women and men, all up in suits with the gloves on at every entrance to everything. So
Wow.
that you had assistance in order to make sure you were getting to where you were going. So we had a long week of meetings. Everything was great. We were having our success dinner before we flew home, and we were in this, it was the Imperial Hotel, and they had this teppanyaki, or what they call hibachi here, where they, cook in front of you.
Right.
And so we had the top of whatever they had that they were serving. And the first thing I had was plum wine. Now, I can't do sulfate, so wine is not something I do very well. But this plum wine was like the nectar of the gods.
That's sake, isn't it? Plum wine.
Plum wine? No, it's sake is wine, is rice wine, but
Rice
plum
wine,
wine is like, I don't know, it was like a Riesling, a real light Riesling, but the plum was just, it was unbelievable. So we had this amazing meal. I'm drinking this plum wine. I'm going, this is some good shit. So we're sitting there, and I said, all right, we need your best scotch. And they're like, whiskey. Okay. So they bring over a shot in these kind of like little sake cups, and it's really dark. And my partner and I were sitting there looking at it, because we traveled around the world. We're both scotch drinkers, and we're going, okay, let's see how good the Japanese do it. We slammed this thing down, and it was another level of nectar of gods. It was unbelievable. It was so smooth, so flavorful, and you could tell on the way down that it was going to kick in. So, Rude and I looked at, Rude is my buddy, and we looked at her and said, we got to have some more of that. So they came back, and I said, what was that? And it's called, it was by Sapporo, the one that we know of for beer. But it was called the whiskey. So
the whiskey or the whiskey?
The THE.
The whiskey.
The whiskey.
Yeah, let's push aside all pretense. We're just going to, it's the whiskey.
That's it. It was their best. So as I did wherever I went in some country, I at least got beer glasses, and I would get as much alcohol and, local specialties that I could and bring them home. So I said, can I get a bottle of that? And can I buy it and take it home? They had to go shuffle around and ask questions. And they said, so they brought this bottle back, and it was this ornate, carved, gorgeous stone bottle it was about, 18 inches high. And it was just gorgeous. I said, holy shit. That is amazing. I think I can get that home. And
Nice.
So I said, how much is that? And he said, yen or US dollar? I said, US dollar. And so I'm thinking, I'm going to try to get this on my expense account, right? He says, $740 US.
Oh,
I went, well, I don't think it's going to be hard to put that on the expense account. I
yeah.
said, wait a minute. How much were those shots we just had? Yen, US dollar, $40 a shot.
Nice. And this
But
was what year?
What's that?
How long ago was this?
This was 93, 94, 95, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my scotch. And that, once I had that, I was like, okay, now and it's the same thing with sushi. I love sushi. And I'm over there in these, downtown Tokyo, right on the Tokyo Bay there. And I'm having sushi carved up by all these old Japanese guys with no teeth. They're out there just slicing up stuff that I didn't even know that any of that existed. So yeah, once you get the authentic stuff, you kind of get spoiled, and you go, yeah, well, I got my bar has been set, and I'm like, okay, now I can kind of grade everything else.
I hear you.
So anyway, there you go.
I hate to abruptly bring this to an end, but I'm a guy, and that's the language I use.
That's what happens.
No, but folks, I'm sorry, I can't go much longer tonight. I'm just, I've got to call it a day. And I appreciate everybody who's here. Professor Bauer, what are you doing tomorrow night? Friday night?
It's Friday tomorrow.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
If you want to be here for Captain's Cabin at what time would that be? Your Mountain Time?
I'm an
Your
hour
Mountain
behind you.
Time, right?
Yeah, an hour behind you.
Yeah, so it would be 9:00 your time. And Uncle Dave is usually here, but stick around tomorrow night and let's have a good show of it tomorrow night.
Sounds good to me.
After hours. You know what?
Yeah.
It might be fun to have you on during the show.
You know me, you find the button, you push it, and I just kind of start going.
Yeah. How would you feel about talking about? We started that time travel thing.
That
maybe
would
talking
be
about
yeah.
time travel, astral projection. How about we tackle that? Showtime, 8:00 tomorrow. For you, it would be 8:00 tomorrow for you. Can you do it?
I think that I can work that into the schedule. And the whole thing is
Outstanding.
the whole thing that I think we need to think about.
Yes,
is non-local consciousness.
Because I'm getting there right now.
because that we talked briefly about it the other night when
Yes.
I said, let's talk about time travel, and that's the bilocality through time and space.
Yeah.
So from there, just the fact that clearly happens, the evidence, it's one of those evidence-rich fields.
Yes.
I mean, you go, okay, well, now you can go from the consciousness to the technology, the chronovisor and hell, even I think Blue Beam, some of the simulation stuff. Oh my God, we'll have way too much fun.
All right. And Field Guy brings up a strong point. Maybe we can discuss this tomorrow. Doc Brown invented time travel with the flux capacitor in 1955. So we might hit on that too.
Sometimes you go, well, the best way to hide the truth is in plain sight.
There's something to that. All right.
All right, my friend. Thanks for letting me aboard.
Professor, thank you for invading. And because it's never an invasion. And I'll see you tomorrow night. And we'll get this donkey hitched up and riding.
Let's tackle time.
8:00 your time. 9:00 our time.
9:00 yours, 8:00 mine. Yeah, that's great. So let's tackle time tomorrow, shall we?
I'm all for it. I'll set my alarm. I'll set my alarm. All right. Talk to you later, Professor Bauer.
Take care. Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper. All right, folks. And that's it. That's all I got tonight, too. So we're going to get out of here for tonight. I want to thank you for sticking around. I was already a little tired. I'm feeling just a little tiny bit of a buzz in my head. And that's okay. If I took 2 more, I'd be gone. So I'm not taking 2 more of those. But I think I'll sleep well tonight. And what did I just do? Cancel. Wow. I don't know what I did. Something popped up on my screen. And so, you know what? Until tomorrow night when Professor Bauer will be back and we'll do a whole hour with Professor Bauer and possibly a couple of more after that, depending on how we're doing. Until then, thank you everybody for being here. Live long and prosper.